Kyle will be out for Thursday's game. That's really all I can tell you right now. I'm not sure what will be beyond that. Zed will be a game time decision, and we'll know more after we have a chance to have him evaluated today. Obviously, consistent with throughout the year, Justice is out as well, so everybody else will be available.
Chris, after the way the regular season ends, and we know what record you guys bring into the postseason, what does it take for the team to flip that mental script and to, I guess, come into the postseason in a better, maybe mental state than everybody seemed to be in on Sunday?
I thought, last year we struggled there at the end and won 3 games in 3 days. So I think it's a lot's made of those things. Certainly we'd like to be healthier at them, and also playing a little bit better. But I think I feel confident in this group and what we can be. And we played in 3 Big Ten tournaments and we've won 4 games. We beat Indiana in year 2. Obviously, no Big Ten tournament in year 3. I got to the Big Ten championship last year, and then Penn State beat us in our first year. So I think we've done some good things in this particular tournament. Is that what you're talking about, the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah.
Obviously it's important for us to get healthy.
And when you talked as much as we did post-game about like defense and trying to improve on that and that end of the court, when you have a couple of days to practice that you haven't had in a while, are there things that you feel like you can address in between Sunday and Thursday that you haven't had a chance to?
Yeah, we're certainly trying to. But we've had some guys out of practice too, so that's impacted things. We certainly are looking at addressing some things, and I think did that some yesterday. We'll see how today goes.
I know fatigue has been a factor, obviously, and maybe besides the guys that are actually injured or out or game time decision, do you feel like you've had enough time to maybe get refreshed a little bit before heading into this tournament, or not as much?
No, I'm not saying. I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's not like it's been that long of a time off. We did give a Monday off. Listen, our guys may have been fatigued in some of these games. Certainly, it was an unprecedented string of games. The only game that I really felt like it was a significant factor, I think our staff would feel differently. They felt like it was a factor in more games. But the one game that I really seemed to notice it was at Maryland. I thought we just really lacked a lot of juice there. And perhaps it was evident. I just didn't maybe notice it as much as maybe our staff did. So our guys did get Monday off. Yesterday we went hard, and today we'll have a good active practice. Obviously, we don't play till 9, and we don't know who our opponent is. Both teams are good teams. We've had really close games with both Minnesota and Penn State. Penn State, it was a 1 or 2 possession game in the last 2.5 minutes here, just at the end of January. And I believe Minnesota was up at half here, and obviously it was a close game there. So playing teams for a third time that are obviously good teams, well-coached teams, it'll be a challenge. It certainly will be a challenge in this first game for sure.
You mentioned playing one of these teams again, and Penn State, I think the first year they were a thorn, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen these teams before, but
yeah.
How difficult is that, or in your history of coaching, in that first appearance? Because sometimes you start off with a bye. That first team can get the confidence going when they just win one game, and they've only played one game. They're still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
How quick do you have to kind of lock in?
No, it's really important. It's really important that you come with the level of aggressiveness and quality of play. Last year we benefited a little bit because our first 2 games were against teams. One, a team that had beat us, but we had only played once, and it was Minnesota. It was early in the year, and we were able to make some adjustments the second time playing them and played really well. And then Purdue had beat us twice, and we beat them. And Michigan had beat us once, and obviously we beat them to get to Illinois. So I think it's this year it's a little bit different, having played a team that's that you've beaten a couple times, and who's also coming off of a win. So I think it's important that we stay aggressive and play really well, and understand it's going to be a really challenging game. I think that's a mindset as much as anything.
Obviously, you didn't want your season to go like this, but you described some of these.
No, I wouldn't say that. I didn't. The last week was a struggle for us for sure.
Oh, well, what I was saying is you've described some of these stretches as kind of tournament style stretches
Yeah.
of games and
Yes.
things like that. And,
Yeah.
and I'm curious, does that give you guys a little bit of a, I don't know, an advantage knowing kind of what that's like, what those stretches of games are like? Or?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You know, what was it? 10 games in 20 days. You know, that's such a unique situation for a college basketball team. But hopefully, the quick turnaround. I think that's what you were asking. The quick turnaround, the quick prep, the ability to kind of turn the page from one game to the next and move on. You know, will be valuable for you. Compressed scouting report, all those things, which are obviously what you're going to face in a setting like this, and also in the NCAA tournament.
And I'm curious about a guy who has, I mean, he's been in a lot of big games, but Malachi hasn't experienced tournament play yet.
Yeah.
I mean, what's on his mind? How are you kind of encouraging him and prepping him for what's to come?
Well, we have a lot of guys that are in that boat. You know, Cedric, Jamari. You know, we have a lot of guys that have not played in the NCAA tournament, but certainly the Big Ten tournament. We've got some guys that have some experience in that. You know, I think we'll rely on the older guys in leadership to kind of tell them what it's like, what those games are like. They're typically a little more physical, but it's usually, you know, the team that's aggressive, and obviously the ability to make shots is important too.
Two unique teams you're going to see tomorrow. What are some of the personnel differences between them that you're kind of keeping an eye on, and what are the unique challenges that you see them can pose to you guys?
Yeah, they both can play different styles, and you know, I believe they played each other twice too, if I recall. You know, they both just present different styles. They've got really unique matchups there for us to attack, and I think with Penn State, they played in a lot of really close games, and so is Minnesota for that matter. And but I think that they can really make it difficult for you, because they've got a couple guys that can individually go off and get between 20 to 30 points.
And how in-depth are you really able to prepare for both of them? You'll basically know late tonight, and you'll tell your guys this is who we got, and
Yeah.
how in-depth are you really able to get for both teams to prepare?
That'll be more coaches right now. We'll spend some time. I think it does help that we played both teams twice. But our focus will be a little bit more on us trying to improve in some areas we need to improve in here yesterday and today. And then we'll spend some time together as a team tonight once we kind of know who our opponent will be. And sometimes that may not be until later.
Chris, you mentioned last year, and with season ended, still going on a run in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
How much do you think momentum at the end of the season really makes that big? Obviously, being healthy is a big thing, but
Yeah.
do you need to be winning to make a postseason run in college basketball?
I think it'd be good if you're playing well, and I think that's the most important thing is how you're playing at the moment, and I think that helps. But I also think that I've seen you certainly see teams play well and then continue to play well. You've also seen teams play well. I think Purdue might have finished the season really well last year, if I recall, and they got beaten in the Big Ten tournament, and then they got beaten the first round of the NCAA tournament. So there's no guarantees, for that either. It's just it's a lot of matchups driven, and it's how you play on that particular night. And to some degree, it's the feel around your team as well. But I think the sometimes people don't fully understand that kids are pretty resilient, and they have the ability to move on, kind of win or lose, to what comes next. And that's our job as coaches, to try to get them ready to move on to this next thing.
Chris, did you guys, when you recruited Gene Brown, did you envision him being a four, like a switchable four, kind of how you're using that?
Not necessarily. I think we imagine him being a little bit more of a wing, which he has been primarily. That could be more switchable and play more of that. And we've been able to do that at times. And by necessity, we need to do it now because of all of those guys in the middle of our lineup who aren't playing right now. All of those kind of switchable fours that you'd imagine that we've had, Justice, Seth, Kyle. So now it's forced Gene to kind of slide over and play that one role when we do want to play, small at times. And it's really not that small, but you can't play, EJ and then, three guys 6'3" or under. It's not possible. So we do need some length there.
Gene seemed like he was in a pretty good spot before he had to miss some time, and then I believe he missed 2 games. Since then, what have you seen from him? It's maybe a little inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that's as much as anything. He's just been a little bit inconsistent. He had a really good game versus Indiana. He's had some really good moments. He's got to guard the ball better, and he's got to rebound better for us on both ends. That's what I think he's got to guard the ball better for one, and he has to be able to rebound the ball better for us. Those are the things that he can bring to this team right now, and be an active cutter, be ready to shoot when the opportunity's there. But we've really been stressing on those key points.
And I think you might have said the same thing about Jamari the other day. He has to guard the ball better.
Yeah.
Just work consistently. When he has slippage in those areas, what are you seeing from him that he needs to be more consistent with?
He gambles a little bit too much, and he gets on the side too much. He doesn't fight to get in front enough. He can take himself out of position at times, because he's always kind of played freelance anyway, a little bit. So he just got to continue to work at it. He's been really good at times with it, but just in general, we got rejected way too much the other day. And that was certainly one of the problems.
Chris, just with the tournament play coming up, I'm curious how much you reflect back on the season, and maybe not so much on the court, because last year with COVID testing and everything that goes on away from the game, just how much do you think about that compared to what you experienced this year?
We don't talk a whole lot about last year's COVID situation and the daily testing, and it's kind of in guys' past. I think they've kind of put it behind them. None of us kind of enjoyed that, but it was necessary to be able to play, so we were grateful for that. But we don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about the COVID impact of last year.
And then just one big impact from this season is the return of fans. And I've talked with a lot of the Buckeye House members. And for your team to play so well at home for a large stretch of the season, to have them back and to see the students back, just how much does that mean to you?
Yeah, it was one of the really hard things for me beyond your seniors. And there were a lot of teams, unfortunately, lost on senior day, but it's really hard as a head coach when your seniors lose on senior day. It's really, really difficult. But you also feel it for your fans. We had an unbelievable crowd. We appreciated them. They were phenomenal. I know there's been, good or bad, plenty of discussion about our home crowds. But I think our nut house, our Buckeye nut house, incredible all year. Incredible. They were just, and they helped. I think we finished 13-3 or whatever, but they really helped us from the opening game to the Duke game to the end of the year. They were phenomenal.
Hey, Chris, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Do you see the Big Ten tournament as a chance to get on a roll, or is it also a chance to get worn out? Because the fandom, they remember what happens in the dance, not so much what happens in Indy.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a reality of that the NCAA tournament is what is most remembered, really, in some ways about your season. Maybe there's a couple games, Clay, that people remember, the Duke game for us or whatever, or a disappointing loss. But the NCAA tournament, in so many ways, is what people really reflect on. And, we've had 3 opportunities here since we've been here, and I think we performed well in two of those 3 opportunities. We didn't yesterday. We'll talk more about that next week. It's a matchup thing as much as anything, but I think the idea with this is you just want to, I'd like to get a little bit healthier, and I'd like to, just play a little better. Those are the two things, whatever comes out of this week, and then in preparation for obviously next week.
So you might be praying for a Friday, Sunday next week?
The whole Sunday, was it Sunday, Friday last year, I think, for us, I think it was Sunday, Friday. That is, that Sunday, Friday deal or Sunday, Thursday, certainly unique and nothing like I ever experienced. And coaches, if you were to gather them all privately, they'd all have their opinions about the benefit of conference tournament play and how that plays into NCAA. And a lot of them would have very strong opinions.
But that's never going away.
It's never going away. Now, I think, Clay, you know why it's not going away.
Give me some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you were talking about Gene a moment ago and missing those guys in the middle of the lineup. And I keep thinking about Justice and the impact he would have made on this team and looking at like his defensive rebounding numbers last year. Where are you as far as trying to find someone who can give you some of that from his position? Because it seems like some of the offensive rebounding issues, he would have been able to negate some of that.
We've looked at Justin some. The physicality, I think, is something he's got to continue to get used to. But I just, we're somewhat limited there option-wise, Adam, just with what we talked about. So, the challenge is Gene's got to continue to grow. I think we might have to look at playing bigger at times than what we had thought. You're just, you're constantly racking your brain to figure out, okay, in light of all these absences we have here, how do we find a way to maybe put our best players on the floor? But you also don't want to put your players at a disadvantage too. So, we'll continue to think through those things and hopefully can get a little bit healthier, with Kyle in the coming, week.
One more with Spencer.
Chris, you talked about something earlier that kind of caught my ear. You're saying there's a difference between winning and playing well.
Yeah.
Playing well doesn't mean always winning.
Yes.
You guys played really well against Purdue at their place.
Yeah.
Didn't come out with a win. When you go into a tournament setting like this, and you know that it's win one or you go home, you got what should be a winnable game in the first round, then you got to play Purdue again. How do you evaluate it, especially when it's win or go home, that you're playing well enough to go to the tournament? That doesn't always mean that you're winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, no, I think there's a reality to that, but I think the biggest thing for us is, again, is how we're playing and are we improving in some of those areas we've talked about. And that doesn't mean that again we played well and lost, and we played poorly and won. And the standard is how we're playing, and I think that's what we're trying to evaluate. Listen, we know that. This tournament every game will be a challenge. That's the reality. And we're taking this first bracket as, obviously we'll see who wins tonight and we'll go from there. And we know that will be a challenging game tomorrow at 9:00, and then we'll go on to the next matchup if we win.
Is it kind of an advantage for you to not know who you're playing? You can just have your guys focus on themselves this week?
Maybe, that's one way of looking at it. I suppose that's possible. I think you can get a little bit too focused on other teams this time of year. So that might be the case. But I think coaches, if they had their preference, would probably prefer to know who they're going to play. I think obviously we'll know that on Sunday moving into the tournament.